I used to think the problem was that I needed more discipline. It usually was not. A lot of people know what to do. Save the money, stop the bad habit, make the call, start the thing, but they still do not move. That is the strange part. And this book hits that exact nerve. It says the mountain is not just outside you, it is inside you. The real block is often self-sabotage. Not because you are lazy, not because you are broken, but because some part of you is trying to stay safe. That is why this matters. If you keep fighting the same battle again and again, you do not need more shame. You need to understand the pattern. Because once I saw that, a lot of my own stuck places made more sense. And that is where the real climb begins. What I like about this idea is how it changes the question. Instead of asking, what is wrong with me? I start asking, what is this behavior protecting me from? That is a much better question. Self-sabotage is often a shield. It can look like procrastination, overspending, avoiding hard talks, or quitting right before progress gets real. On the surface, it looks messy, but under it, there is usually fear. Fear of failure, fear of change, fear of being seen. For me, that is where the book gets very real. A lot of people do not avoid action because they do not care. They avoid it because the next step feels unsafe. So the book asks us to stop judging the behavior and start listening to it. That shift matters because you cannot fix what you keep misunderstanding. When you understand the need under the habit, you can start meeting that need in a better way. This is one of those struggles people carry quietly. They feel stress, but they do not slow down long enough to name it. So the feeling comes out in other ways. A bad day turns into a shopping spree. Money anxiety turns into avoidance. A small risk feels huge, so nothing gets started. Here, the book feels simple, but sharp. It says your body and emotions are not noise. They are signals. If I ignore them, they still run the show in the background. That is the weird part. What you do not face will usually find a way out. So the work is not to push feelings down harder. The work is to notice them earlier. Pause. Name the feeling. Ask what it wants. That small gap between feeling and action can change everything. For me, that is a much kinder path than brute force. It gives me a way to respond instead of react. The book also makes a point I really respect. Willpower is not enough. If the old pattern is still there, it will keep pulling you back. That is why real change needs a replacement, not just resistance. If I stop one bad habit, I need a better habit ready to take its place. Otherwise, I just drift back. So the book pushes practical change. Autosave instead of hoping I feel motivated. A spending pause instead of emotional buying. A weekly money check-in instead of avoiding the app. That is smart because it works with human nature, not against it. And it also helps with identity. I do not change by repeating, I should be better. I change by building proof. Little by little, I become the kind of person who follows through. That is the real shift. Not a big speech, a new pattern that is easier to keep. The deepest lesson in this book is that growth will feel strange at first. That does not mean it is wrong. It means it is new. Old habits feel safe because they are familiar, even when they hurt us. New habits feel hard because they ask for a new self. So the goal is not to fight yourself all day. The goal is to become someone who can stay with discomfort long enough to build a better life. That is how change lasts. Not by wishing harder, not by shaming yourself, by noticing the pattern, replacing it, and proving to yourself that you can do hard things without falling apart. That is why I think this book matters. It gives me a cleaner way to see my own resistance. And if you want more book ideas made simple, subscribe to the 5-Minute Shelf.